Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Coco Gauff admits toughest challenge as worrying record shadows Canadian Open win. Remember when Rennie Stubbs said, "It is going to be a work in progress with the serve and her forehand for the rest of her career. And when she loses, that is why she is going to lose. That's why we always talk about it." That stark truth still lingers. Back at Indian Wells, Coco Gauff's game crumbled under pressure. 21 double faults, 74 unforced errors against Moyuka Yukijima, and 6 more double faults in her final game against Maria Sakkari before bowing out after losing to Belinda Bencic. Now, even after kicking off her North American swing with a gritty win over Danielle Collins, her Canadian Open run arrives with a brutal reminder. Her serve remains her most daunting enemy. Top seed Coco Gauff was pushed to the absolute brink by fellow American Danielle Collins on Tuesday night at the Omnium Banque Nationale, but the reigning French Open champ dug deep and clawed her way to a dramatic victory. After nearly 3 hours of intense baseline warfare, Gauff finally broke her post-Roland Garros dry spell, sealing a 7-5, 4-6, 7-6-2 win in a high-octane clash. Collins erased deficits of 2-0 and 4-2 in the third set, and came within 2 points of snatching the match. But Coco held her nerve when it mattered most. Still, one stat from the battle screamed louder than the rest. Gauff's double faults once again hit troubling highs. Just moments ago, Tennis TV's Bastien Fashion dropped a jaw-dropping stat on Coco Gauff's performance in Montreal. Coco Gauff's 23 double faults tonight in Montreal are the most at WTA level since Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in Baku 2011. He shared, underlining the brutal weight of that number. Quickly correcting himself, he added, "Sabalenka also had 23. My bad. She wasn't on the record list." Gauff may have survived the storm, but this stat serves as a stark reminder of the beast she's still battling. Even after surviving a grueling 2-hour and 55-minute war, Coco Gauff faced the truth head-on. "I was practicing well, and I don't think I transferred it today, but hopefully I got my bad match of the tournament out of the way," she admitted, reflecting on a night filled with 23 double faults and 74 unforced errors. Gauff kept her humor intact, saying, "Maybe if I cut that in half, it would be a quicker match for me," while assuring fans she still had plenty left in the tank. Despite the chaos, she held onto the silver linings. "Danielle is a great ball striker, and for me to break her as many times as I did, there's definitely some positives to take from today." This isn't the first time Coco Gauff has battled haunting numbers on her serve. At this year's Wimbledon, her campaign ended in the opening round, where the world number 2 unraveled on court number 1, managing just 6 winners and racking up 29 unforced errors, including 9 double faults. The serve, once again, proved costly. The pattern didn't stop there. In Berlin, returning to the tour after a French Open triumph, Gauff was stunned by Chinese qualifier Wang Xinyu. She piled up 25 unforced errors and 7 double faults in a 6-3, 6-3 loss that echoed all too familiar concerns. And who could forget her clash at the Italian Open? There, Jasmine Paolini dismantled her game as Gauff delivered 8 double faults and 55 unforced errors in a brutal 6-4, 6-2 defeat. Pam Shriver urges Coco Gauff to sharpen her strokes. Despite her shining triumph in Paris, Coco Gauff's game still flashes signs of instability, most glaringly in her inconsistency and error count. One red flag that refuses to fade is her growing struggle with double faults. Hard to digest, but Gauff committed 38 double faults during her victorious Roland Garros campaign alone. As of June 2025, the world number 2 leads the WTA in this category, racking up 234 double faults, and the season's only halfway through. Alarming? Absolutely. Last year, she topped the same list with 430, marking a troubling pattern. But Gauff's challenges extend beyond the serve. Former American legend Pam Shriver pointed out another critical area for improvement last month: her forehand. While Gauff's speed and competitiveness make her a menace on court, her forehand has often lacked bite and reliability, especially under pressure. In a candid conversation with Arab News on June 30th, Shriver, a three-time Wimbledon semifinalist, offered a sharp observation. Obviously, given her competitiveness, her speed. If the forehand, actually I'm anxious to see. I want to see how much she slices it, because I think that's a shot she's had to utilize. Given when the regular forehand's not working, she can kind of bunt it around and kind of just chip it back, use her speed, and then wait for a backhand. She didn't stop there. So we'll see how much she does that, and also her drive's tough, Shriver added, touching on the difficulty Gauff faces in consistently generating offensive forehands. It's an issue that's shadowed the 21-year-old for a while now. Even Gauff acknowledged the gap herself. After her early exit in Miami against Anastasia Potapova, she confessed, "I think I need to work on the execution part, because I am executing them in practice, certain moments in practice," as reported by TNT Sports back in March. Now, with her next challenge against Veronika Kudermetova on the horizon and the U.S. Open fast approaching, the stakes couldn't be higher. Can Coco silence the doubts, sharpen her tools, and unleash her best when it matters most? Time will tell. Coco Gauff admits toughest challenge as worrying record shadows Canadian Open win. In the buzzing heart of Montreal, where the tennis world had congregated for the prestigious Canadian Open, Coco Gauff once again made her mark. She stepped onto the court with the trademark fire in her eyes and a nation's hope on her shoulders. Still only 21 years old, Coco had matured far beyond her years, with a Grand Slam title, doubles accolades, and countless top 10 wins. But as she raised her arms in victory after a hard-fought third-round triumph, her smile couldn't quite mask the cloud looming over her. The win that didn't feel like one. Coco's latest win should have been a celebration. The crowd cheered, her team applauded, and even her opponent offered warm congratulations at the net. But as she sat for her post-match press conference, Coco wasn't glowing with the usual post-win confidence. "Yeah, I won," she said, pausing as she looked at the floor. "But honestly, this match just reminded me how much I'm still struggling with something that's been chasing me for over a year." The media room fell silent. Coco rarely spoke so candidly. This was something deeper than the usual physical fatigue or match nerves. When asked to elaborate, she leaned forward with a sigh. "It's the top 5 wall. The toughest challenge of my career." A worrying pattern. Despite Coco's ever-rising profile and string of victories, her record against top 5 ranked players had become a topic no one dared mention until now. She had faced world number 1s, 2s, 3s, and too often left the court with her head bowed. It wasn't that she wasn't trying. It wasn't that she lacked a skill or strategy. But there seemed to be a mental block, an invisible ceiling she couldn't quite smash through. Heading into the Canadian Open, her record against top 5 opponents stood at a daunting 2-14. Fans debated endlessly whether it was her forehand under pressure, the occasional tactical lapses, or just the overwhelming expectations. But to Coco, the reason was simpler and more haunting. "I get scared." She said it with the kind of brutal honesty only champions dare speak. Not scared like I'll get hurt, but scared that I'll disappoint everyone watching me. Scared I'll make a fool of myself trying to go toe-to-toe with IGA, Arina Elena. When I see that number next to their name, 2, 3, 1, something in me tightens up. The Canadian fight back. That's why her latest win, while not against a top 5 opponent, mattered more than what the rankings showed. She had battled back from a set down, shaken off 5 double faults, and saved 2 match points. The roar from the Montreal crowd wasn't just for the victory. It was for the heart. Her coach, Brad Gilbert, could be seen on the sidelines throughout, offering calm, firm nods. Later, he shared insight on the emotion behind Coco's struggle. She has all the tools, movement, power, mind. But tennis is 90% mental when you're facing the best. Coco knows that. She's not hiding from it anymore, and that's what changes everything. Gilbert wasn't wrong. For the first time, Coco was no longer pretending the record didn't exist. She had brought the demon out into the light, and in doing so, began the process of defeating it. A flashback to the beginning. The moment reminded many of Wimbledon 2019, when a 15-year-old Gauff shocked Venus Williams in the first round. Back then, her innocence was her shield. She didn't know she wasn't supposed to beat legends yet. She just played. But as the years passed and the expectations grew, so did the mental weight. Back then, I wasn't thinking about who I was playing, Coco admitted. Now I'm thinking about rankings, titles, defending points, being a role model. It gets heavy. But Montreal felt different. The crowd, diverse, youthful, electric, mirrored everything Coco represented. There were chants in French and English, hand-painted signs reading, "Let Coco fly," and "Gauff power." It wasn't just a tennis match. It was a statement of support. I felt like the city lifted me up tonight, she said, preparing for the next mountain. In the locker room post-match, Gauff stayed behind after her team had left. She sat alone with her headphones on, not listening to music, but meditating. This was something she had begun doing recently, visualization therapy, imagining not just herself winning, but winning against the one she feared the most. I picture myself beating IGA, she shared. Not just playing her close, actually beating her, point by point. I replay matches in my head, but this time with me doing what I need to. Taking the shot, not hesitating. It's a different kind of training, one that doesn't involve forehands or fitness drills, but something more difficult, courage. The Canadian Open would soon offer her the opportunity she both dreaded and needed. If she advanced one more round, she could face world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka, a potential rematch of their fierce battles from earlier slams. The question wasn't just about whether she could win, but whether she believed she could. Support from fellow players. As the tennis world buzzed about Gauff's comments, many players offered their support. Jessica Pegula, her doubles partner and close friend, tweeted, "Coco keeps it real. That's what makes her strong. She's got this." IGA Swiatek, who has bested Coco in nearly every head-to-head match, even responded during her own press availability. "I respect that Coco's being honest. It's not easy when people expect you to be perfect every day. She's gonna break that wall. I know it." The turning point? Coco Gauff's journey is no longer just about titles. It's about transformation. The Canadian Open may still be in progress, but something more significant happened on that humid July night in Montreal. Coco didn't just win a match, she faced her shadow. The worrying record remains, for now. But it's no longer a quiet statistic whispered among critics. It's a battle she's naming out loud, with the determination to write a new chapter. "I'm done pretending that everything's okay when it's not," she said, voice firm. "I'm done hiding from the challenge. I'm facing it now, and I'm going to beat it." In a world that often demands perfection from its stars, Coco Gauff just showed that real strength lies in vulnerability, and that the path to greatness isn't just paved with wins, but with the courage to confront your deepest fears. Epilogue, the match ahead. As the next match looms, Coco walks onto the practice court at Stade IGA with a quiet focus. Her team watches from a distance as she drills backhands with more aggression, serves with intention, and smiles in between rallies. The crowd gathering behind the fences sense something has changed. The chants start again. "Let Coco fly." She turns, raises a hand, and smiles, not because she's already won, but because she's no longer afraid to try.